Oh, hello everyone. Welcome to Lever Guns 50. Today we're going to take a look at lever actions, how they operate, how to feed them, and how to take out the cartridges without running them through the action. Well, some of them you might have to run them through the action a little bit, but anyhow, so we're going to take a look at these cartridges right here. This one right here is a 5110. It can produce up to 6,000 foot-pounds of muzzle energy. The 4590, it'll produce getting pretty close to 5,000. This is a little 3855. It'll do about 2,100 with buffalo bore bullets anyhow. This is a 348 Ackley improved. Now it'll do over 3,500. And this here is a 348. It'll do about 100. This is a 32 special. It's almost identical to the 3030. And this here is a 300 Winchester short mag. It'll produce over 4,000. And this right here is a 3030, 45 Colt, 44 Magnum, 3220, and a little 22 long rifle. Now, most of the lever actions that run 22 long rifle will also run shorts and longs, so they'll do a variety of that. And let's show you these lever actions right quick. This here is the 1886. You can tell because it has this extra long loading gate. Get up here where you can see it. And it come in a variety of calibers. It started out with 4570 all the way up to the 5110, which is this cartridge right here. This one here is currently in 4590. So then we have the 92 copy. This is a Rossi. It's a copy of the 92 Winchester, which is also a scaled down version of the 86. Now you can see it has these locking lugs that pop down right here, and that is the same as this 1886, also known as an 86. See how it drops down, and those lock it in good and solid. Okay, and the 94 is completely different. John Brown, when he designed it, he dropped the whole bottom out so that he can get a longer cartridge and a shorter action. Now the strongest action, the 94 is strong, but it's not as strong as the 92. When they was developing the 454 Casull, they tried the 94, they tried the 336 Marlin, and the 336 Marlin gave it up first as far as the frame stretching or whatever, and then the 94 Winchester. It was actually the big bore 94 that gave it up, and then the standard 94 Winchester gave it up next. So then what they did is they took and chambered 454 in the 92, and it had no problems with it. It handled it just fine. Part of it's going to be them dual locking lugs. 86 and the 92 are the strongest actions as far as these traditional. You know, you have the BLR, the Browning lever action, which comes in this right here caliber, which is 300 short mag, but it also comes in a variety of cartridges, including the 223, 22, 250, and just about every cartridge you could think of in between. So let's get to shooting some of these and talking about some of these little things. And one of the things I thought of, because I was seeing in a particular individual's house, and he had, you know, ARs and stuff like that, but he had all the magazines was completely empty. And I was thinking, in a case like that, an AR with empty magazines, I'm talking about they didn't have any bullets in them at all. They was in, you know, because safety sallies, people like that. So I think his thoughts was, you know, it's safer that way. And plus he was saying it messes up his magazine spring. I don't even know. But he's not the first person I met like that. Normally they have their everyday carry, which is usually a semi-automatic. And so they assume that they can hold whatever off with their semi-automatic, and say that's true. But in a case like that, if you run up to your gun safe, you open it up, and your AR, your AK, your whatever is unloaded, some of them, I don't know a lot about them, but I know that a lot of them are not as easy to just throw around in the top, have it ready to shoot and start cramming them in the side. Now obviously a 12 gauge shotgun is, but I think in the case if you took, say, an AR with an unloaded magazine, a lever action with an unloaded magazine, which one could you get into battery or into service first? I'm not sure. I'm not an AR guy, but I guarantee you within a second or half a second you can have a lever action ready to shoot at least one shot. And of course after that you can start cramming them in the loading gate. Now obviously that's an ignorant way to have your firearms set up. If people have semi-automatics, by all means use that. But if you don't, you know, use what you have. But this video is about lever actions. I was just doing a little comparison there. Probably going to get a lot of hate about that, but anyhow, it is what it is, and that's how it was. So right now we're going to focus on how to load them and unload them, and also different scenarios of shooting through holes and cracks and crevices and stuff, and how well they work for that. So if I was going after bear, this cartridge here, the 5110, would be my first choice. The 4590 would be my second choice, and then of course the 4570. The nice thing about the 4590 is you can shoot a 4570 in the same gun. It's just a shorter cartridge. It's kind of like a long rifle can be. You can fire a short and a long rifle lever action. As far as 22s, like 22 short, 22 long, 22 long rifles all fire through the same gun. So same way with the 4570 and the 4590. So that makes it very versatile. I don't know that I would go with any pistol calibers unless it was maybe the 454 for bear defense in a lever action. But I do like the 348. You can use a 200 grain bullet going about 600 feet a second. Has a lot of power, and you can pop those out there really fast. And it's the 71 Winchester is a really good gun. So let's dive into this and see how to load these and unload these and get on with the video. Thanks for watching. All right, today we're dealing with the myth that you have to run the cartridges through your chamber in order to unload a lever action. It depends on what kind of lever action you have. Now on, say, something like this little 92, you really can't get your finger in there and get the cartridge out like we're going to show you on this one. On one of these 86s, you just stick that, you're just rocking up the cartridge down there to the top and it will come right out. So I mean, it's got plenty of room. You can just push it down, pop that cartridge up and pull them out. So you can take them out that way on the 86. Let's try it on the 94. So just reach in there and grab a hold of the base of that cartridge and flip it up, and it will come right out. So you can do it on the 94. Well, how about the 336 Marlin? You can actually just use your finger on it, but I like to use the cartridge and just keep. So you don't have to run the cartridges through the action. Well, what about like these 92s that we're not able to get our finger in there and do that? Well, what about on these 92s? Well, you can bring the action down, run it up a little ways, not all the way up. Don't close it all the way, and then just drop that cartridge out. You'll have to close it to get the next cartridge in. And as soon as that cartridge pops out of the carrier, just dump it out in your hand. And so there's no reason to actually chamber the cartridge, because that's where some people say that they accidental discharge. So you can just get it started and then just dump it out on stable. Kind of like that. See, we're not going all the way in. So there's that way. And that's fairly safe because you're got the gun pointed upwards. Hopefully you don't have an upstairs. But anyhow, so let's try it on this one here. So we just pulled that cartridge right out. These big old cartridges made this so you can just do it the same way. Just rock them right on out. I think you could actually just pull these out, but we'll just do it like this. And also on these, you can actually tilt it like this right here, and then the cartridge sometimes will just fall out. Oh, it's already empty. But anyhow, so you don't need to run the cartridges into the chamber, and so that's not a real thing. You don't have to do that. I mean, a lot of people do it because it's easier, but you don't have to. So we're gonna see some other ways of loading it really quick, shooting it quick, and what's the best ways of doing it. Now this is a feature that I've showed in other videos, but you might not have seen it. On most of these lever actions, you can just pop the action open, drop the cartridge in, and then you can start cramming cartridges in the side while you've got this gun pointed at a perpetrator or whatever, and you know, keeping an eye on them in case you need to fire. Maybe you got a grizzly bear, you know, there or whatever. But anyhow, that's pretty neat. There's not many other guns that you can do that other than like a 12 gauge shotgun pump action or something. Okay, one of the things I want to talk about is the hammer. Never leave the hammer back on full cock. It needs to be on half cock. Or if you have a Henry, you need to lower it all the way back up, you know, where it goes, because it has that hammer block safety. Never walk around with one on full cock. I know a guy that accidentally shot himself by doing that. So you heard that. Now see, like, say for instance, we're out here, we got a grizzly bear 6 yards from us. He's been hunting us and we're trying to stay away from him. We're trying not to shoot it because, you know, we don't want to have all that hassle of, you know, if you shoot a bear out of season or whatever, because we're not hunting bears. But say the bear's about 3 yards away and he's sniffing around looking for you. You don't want to be standing there with your gun not at full cock. But if you cock it, it makes all that racket. So now the bear's going to be looking at you. So how do you do that? Well, you simply put your finger on the trigger. You see, that didn't make no noise. You cock it without. You don't just, I mean, that's just too noisy. I mean, you'll spook off a deer doing that. So you can't have the regular trigger discipline you do with ARs and stuff. Sorry about the rooster. You can't have regular discipline like you do with ARs and stuff, because you need to, if you're in a dangerous situation, put your finger on the trigger and cock it silently. So, like we were talking about, I'm gonna let you listen to this real close. See, that's not real bad, but if you got, you're trying to get the drop on something, that's too noisy. So what you can do is, see how much quieter that was? So, and this one here seemed to be the noisiest. Yeah, see, that's just way too noisy. You'd spook off a deer cocking that thing back like that. So, you put your finger on the trigger, your thumb on the hammer, you're pulling them both back at the same time, and then you let up off the trigger, get your finger out of the trigger guard and let up off the hammer. And then as soon as whatever it is leaves, you lower that hammer back down to half cock, get your finger out of the trigger guard. Now how you lower it down is, say you got it on full cock. You squish down on the hammer first, put your finger on the trigger, let up on the hammer slightly, then take your finger off the trigger and let that trigger ride its way up in the half cock. And that's how you do it. That's the proper way of doing it. Now some people will take and let it all the way down where it's sitting on the firing pin. Well, that's not safe either, because if you drop it and it hits on the hammer, it could set off that cartridge. It needs to be on half cock. Now, some people set it up there and then pull it back to half cock. But say, for instance, say you got some deer out here or whatever, and you drew it back, but they're all does, so you don't want to shoot any of them, but you don't want your gun sitting there being dangerous, so you just simply lower it down to half cock. But if you do like some people, lower it all the way down on the firing pin and then pull it back to half cock, listen to this. See, that's too noisy. Now you spooked off your does, which you could have left your does out there. They could be like your decoys, you know. But anyhow, I'm just showing you some tips and tricks. So anyhow, that's how you do it. Another thing is the way their sights are set up. They're super fast to get on target with the peep sight. When you pull it up on target, you can swing them really fast. The truth is, if you're shooting, when that recoil brings you up, by the time you get it back down on target, you have already levered another cartridge in there and you're ready to pull the trigger. And the fastest I've seen anybody shoot a lever action was 10 shots in under 2 seconds. And I think the average person could get 3 shots a second. I can probably get 4 shots a second. I'm talking about on target, not just slinging them out there. But I need to get me a timer so I can actually see. Maybe I'm only getting 2 shots a second. So anyhow, y'all stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is a lever action, in my opinion, is one of the only guns that you can just grab up, load it on the go with a round in the chamber, and yeah, just like out of your pocket. Like, for instance, you could grab this up, pop it open, throw a round in here, close it up. Now you can start cramming cartridges in the side while you're running around, you know, getting to safety. And I mean, shotguns are good for that, because most shotguns load through the bottom. But think about, if you grab your AR up, you're going to have to hold your magazine underneath your armpit while you're trying to cram cartridges in it. And if you have an AR, I mean, I'm assuming that you're going to have the magazines loaded, but I actually know a lot of people that don't. I see how I'm running them through the action, but I didn't have to do that. Let's see if that loading feature we was talking about will work in a 94. So we have a 3855 cartridge. We just chunk it in here and then, yep, it works right in there. It was a piece of cake. So then you could literally be loading this gun up while it was ready to shoot with a little bit of practice. Now let's see on the big 1886 and 4590 how good that works, just dropping around in the top. I'm thinking that it's not, well, it worked pretty good. Might need to aim it just a little bit, because it's so big it don't just drop in the top. I mean, just drop that cartridge and close it pretty quick, be ready to shoot. So that's pretty neat on it. The little 92, how about the little 92 and 32 20? Can you do it on it? I don't know, I've never tried it. So I'm just gonna drop the cartridge. Well, it didn't quite. I think this little tiny cartridge might be too small to just do that. Yeah, don't quite do it as easy, but we can just get the nose of it in there and then we can go. So the little 3220 is not as easy to do. Okay, let's try it on the Marlin. We got to go ahead and get this last shell out of here. Now the marlin, you can get them out the side, but it's not near as easy. They tend to want to hang up in there if you don't do it just right. Okay, marlin's empty. We just chunk a shell inside and then we close it, and it seemed to work fine. Let's chunk another one in there. Well, chunk another one in there and see. Yeah, it worked. I just want to see if it's a fluke. It's worked every time so far. So, anyhow, look like the marlin, you can chunk them in the side and then start cramming them in the tube. So, another thing I know I've talked about in other videos, but we're going to talk about it in this video for people that haven't seen the other videos, is most lever actions, you can just say, for instance, you're shooting away and you see there's a cartridge down in there. I guess you can see it. But anyhow, there is a cartridge in there. I'll pop it up. Now you should be able to see it. So we'll push that cartridge back down. Most lever actions, you can shoot them single shot, leaving that cartridge in there, taking that cartridge out, drop another cartridge in there, just like that. Keeping the magazine fully loaded for when you're in a hurry. So that's another feature on most lever actions that's very handy, is you can shoot them single shot like that without having to take any of the rounds out of your magazine. And in doing that, you can, I mean, you could literally shoot all day single shot, keeping your zombies at bay, and then if they ever broke the door down, then you could, you know, have your 8-shot rapid fire. Another thing I want to show is lever actions probably shoot through holes better. I don't know if you can see that, but we got a slit here. You could, if you had a gun like this one here, you could turn it sideways and maybe shoot through that one. But what about this hole over here? Could you go through it? So we're just going to try it with a little 92. We got a camera set up down there to see what the splatter is on those zucchinis. All right, so on this bigger hole, we're just going to try to shoot through it without turning our gun sideways and see how well it works. Okay, I managed to shoot through the hole without hitting anything. Let's try it down the little square hole. Shot through it without hitting it. I believe I might have bumped it, but so it's able to shoot through small cracks and crevices without, see, like this one here, the distance. I'll tell you what, I'll just shoot one and we'll look at how, and I'll try to aim as close to the top as I can, and we'll see how it does. Let me get set up again, and we'll also try to turn sideways and see if we can get through there. Okay, we have some more zucchini set up down there. We're going to try to hit it with this 30-30 through the long hole and then through the square hole. Now this has that sight quite a bit higher than the bore. So I'm going to try this one by turning it sideways. Get it right at this edge over here. Might have been too much blast for it. Well, we got it back up. It doesn't have any holes in it, so we didn't hit it with the 30-30. I don't think there's any way possible to shoot through this hole over here and hit that target, because I won't be able to see the target, but I'm fixing to show you how low it's going to shoot. And if you were shooting through the banister or something, that definitely would mess you up. Now I'm going to get back a little ways just because I don't want to blow it off again. So I'm aiming at the top of the hole. I aimed right at the top of the hole, and you see how low it hit. Now, if you was trying to shoot over the banister, look what you would do. You would actually hit it and splinter wood and probably miss your target. Now, I would imagine these sights aren't real high up off of there. Let's try a couple rounds out of this 45 Colt. This here is a Rossi 92 copy. So we're going to try a couple rounds at those zucchini squashes through these holes. Set up the high-speed camera and we'll check it. All right, let's go ahead and try to pop them. Let's see through this big hole. Got that one. Now through this small hole. Got that one. Notice both those holes don't have any damage to them. So that's what I'm talking about. When your sights is this close to where you're aiming, you don't have as big a chance of hitting something that's below your sights. Like this right here, if I'm looking through here, my bore is way down here, and like you've seen, it hit low even though I was aiming at the top of the hole trying to see the target. So in a case like that, this comes in really handy. You want to know your gun. And like you seen, we was able to turn it sideways and shoot through that hole. But what if you just have a knot hole? Anyhow, it's just different perspectives, different firearms. So that was that. You have your gun down here like this. Say you do have a round in the chamber, you're ready to go. And then all of a sudden, you know, there's the enemy. So, I mean, a zucchini is always an enemy, right? Especially when they get old and hard. After that bullet blew up that zucchini, apparently one of these are enough to stop a 32-20. Because that right there is the bullet. Mushroomed out really good. But it traveled the full length of this zucchini and stopped. So that was kind of interesting. Okay, we got two really renegade zucchinis there. We need to take those out quick as we can. So thought we got them boogers out of there. All right, we're gonna take out some of them zucchinis with this 94 Winchester, and this one's in 38-55. So let's see what we can do. All right, so say we're looking over here and then we turn around, there they are. Well, we got them all with one shot. It's still raining zucchini. I'm gonna see if it'll go through that zucchini and hit that steel plate behind of it. So let's see if it'll do it. Yep. Went through the zucchini and hit that steel plate. I don't think the zucchini gave it much resistance. The question some people have is, why would you use a lever action when you have all these ARs and stuff? And the main reason why I use them like for hunting and stuff is because I like them. I feel like they're really good. They're really handy to throw up on your shoulder and come on sight. I was hunting not several years back, and I was in the pine woods laying on my belly, and a big old 8-point sorry about the rooster, big old 8-point come out. And so I got up on it and fired the first shot. The deer took off running, and he was walking pretty fast when I shot him the first time. Of course, I levered it and fired another shot while he was running, and I guess he probably went between the first shot and the second shot probably 15 or 20 yards. But both bullets hit the deer this far apart, and the deer was, you know, he dropped on the second shot, but both shots would have killed him. I just was in a hurry for him not to keep going because there was a highway another 100 yards or so, and I didn't want him to get out there on the highway. And so I wanted to make sure it was dead on the spot. So, but that was with 32 Special. That was with this cartridge right here. So, and that was a 94 Winchester, and that was a nice buck too. So anyhow, in my 71, you can go back and watch my hunting video on it. That deer was coming across this field, and I seen the deer. I was able to grab up the gun, and I had to shoot almost instantly because the deer was almost going out of where I could shoot it. And shot it on the fly. These guns are really good on getting up and getting on target, and you know, all you gotta do is thumb back the hammer and pull the trigger, and you're good to go. Hold this gun really solid with this arm, and you just kind of want to just run that lever as fast as you can with this one. So it's kind of like, that. So you don't want to actually lower. You don't want to lower your gun down to lever it because it's taking too long to get to the next shot. And so you don't really want to stop with the gun unloaded. So say you fire, always go ahead and put another round in there and then lower your hammer down to half cock.